Boy, is it good to be talking baseball again. Bob Walk is on the line with us this morning. The Buccos on the air this afternoon, 1 o'clock against the Yankees as the exhibition season gets underway. Our conversation with Bob Walk brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Bob, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's amazing how quickly things can happen. We had our first practice on Tuesday, and now our first game is going to be today. So things are moving right along, and can't wait to get up there and get back in that booth.
All right, so think back, and I know you've considered this, think back to when you were pitching, and if you would have been able to be up to speed, or how close to speed would you be with this compressed spring training schedule with the season starting on April 7th?
I don't know. I mean, we had the same thing. We went through a work stoppage and had the spring training start 2 weeks late. And my memory recalls no problems whatsoever, and I'm pretty sure that was 1990. I think. Mm-hmm. And obviously we got off to a good start. So we won the division that year. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, the starters probably when the season starts are only going to go 4 or 5 innings, which is about what we averaged all year last year. So that should be no problem. That should be no difference. And nowadays, guys don't go 3 or 4 innings in their first spring training start. They go 1 or 2 innings.
Yeah.
And Will Crow's supposed to go 2 innings today, so that's not going to be any different. So I don't think there'll be that much of a difference other than you'll see a lot more players play in each game. At least in the beginning, you'll see changes like every other inning or so. There'll be somebody coming out of the game and somebody new going in.
From a player evaluation standpoint, Derek Shelton and the staff, they're really going to have to be down to it here because they've got a lot of players to sift through, this roster especially. And so they're going to have to make some decisions on guys probably with incomplete information, wouldn't you think?
Well, yeah, but I mean, as always, in my mind, from what I've seen in 40 years, 95% of those decisions, as long as there's no injury or no trades, has already pretty much been made. In 18 games, I mean, you're not going to make any. You're going to go on what you've seen out of guys in the past, not what you've seen out of guys in 20 at bats in an 18 game. That's not going to really prove anything. I mean, Kevin Newman last year hit over 600 down here in Florida, won the shortstop job. There was true competition for that job here last year. Mm-hmm. But then he had a miserable season with the bat for 6 months. What goes on in March has nothing to do with what's going to happen during the year. So most of their decisions are based on what their projections for somebody are going to be for the season and what they've seen maybe in the past, not on what they see down here in 20 at-bats in spring training.
Kevin Newman is one of those stories of spring training because the shortstop position is, it's loaded with prospects, and he knew that, and in the offseason he changed his batting stance, and he worked on his swing, and I know Derek Shelton's very pleased that he was so proactive with it, but that's one of those positions that we're really going to be looking at that position with the prospects coming up, and I don't know if there's pressure on Kevin Newman, but certainly he's stepping up and doing whatever he can to keep that job, huh?
Well, there's long-term pressure on him for sure. I mean, if he doesn't do something in the first couple months of this season to get his bat back the way it was his rookie season, then yeah, there's going to be pressure coming up. But the pressure immediately is from guys that don't have hardly any experience, even above the A-ball level. Mm-hmm. O'Neill Cruz has had experience at Double-A, but he's looked very inconsistent. The power is there occasionally. The defense is there occasionally. There's no consistency to his game right now. So the guy that you can depend on right now to go out and play a good shortstop is Kevin Newman. You can't depend on his hitting. So long term, yeah, he's going to be pressured. I can see that for sure. You got young guys coming up. Peguero is the shortstop of the future. I mean, that's all I ever hear. He's probably going to start the season in Double-A. So yeah, he needs to get it going with that bat this season and early this season to retain that job. But how much pressure is he going to be on in 18 games in spring training? My opinion is let's just say this. I'll be surprised if Kevin Newman is not the shortstop when the season begins. Mm-hmm. But that might be short-lived.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, third base has Ke'Bryan Hayes hoping to come back from an injury-filled season last year and hoping to fulfill all those expectations for him. And Yoshi at second or at first base. Second base is kind of interesting to look at too. And the outfield is kind of unsettled, isn't it?
Well, in one position, I think right field. If you ask me today, I mean, I don't know who's going to be the opening day starter for the Cardinals. I have no idea. But I'm thinking that Alford would probably get the first shot at it out there. Mm-hmm. He is so physically talented. I think he deserves another chance to be an everyday player. So I think that they'll give him a decent look. But I think Gamble's going to start in left field, and obviously Reynolds is going to be the center fielder. So
sure. Yeah.
I don't see any real competition out there. But again, it's like the shortstop position, second base and right field. Whoever is playing those positions when the season starts, there are young guys not too far away. Maybe they're not really ready yet, but they're going to be ready soon. So you better play well to get off to a good start. It's kind of like what Jim Leland told me his very first year when he told me I'd made the team. He goes, "Okay, you're my last guy in the bullpen. You're the last guy. I was the last guy he told that was going north." Mm-hmm. And he said, "But you better get off to a good start because I'm really looking for a left-hander down there." So, I mean, that was one of the great things about Leland. You knew where you stood with him. Nothing was. You didn't have to wonder. He flat out would tell you what the situation was. But I knew, and a lot of guys are going to be in that scenario this year. Maybe not immediately, but once you get into June, if some of these hot shots we've been talking about coming up through the minor leagues, had great A-ball years last year, they're tearing it up in Double-A or Triple-A, and we're not getting anything out of the players at the big league level. You're going to see changes.
Yeah. Bob Walk with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. Bob, did you get down to Bradenton in time before the major leaguers were there that you could get a look at some of the young guys?
I didn't go out to Pirate City, no. I've always been one of those people that I'll look at them when they get up here. When they get to the big leagues, that's when I'll look at them. Because, no matter what they do in the minor leagues, no matter how tremendous of the players they are in A-ball and Double-A and Triple-A, I've been around long enough to know that it's a flip of the coin whether that's going to show up at the big league level.
Yeah.
So I read about them. I'm happy to know that we do have a number of players that are very good in the minor leagues, because definitely some of those guys anyway are going to be good big league players.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
When I'll watch them in spring training. If I didn't have the job I had right now, I might drive over to Altoona and check out some ball games this summer, because I think they could have some very interesting players over there. So, there'll be some guys up here by June, and hopefully they perform to expectations, because that's how we're going to get better.
Here's my curveball to Bob Walk this morning. Steve Klein, former big league pitcher, is now the IUP baseball coach, and I know that your son played some baseball at IUP. Was there ever a time in your career that you thought, I'd like to try coaching at the college level and see what I could bring?
No, I went absolutely straight from the major league mound and right straight into this job. So I've never had a time where I'm sitting at home, thinking about, what am I going to do? Uh-huh. And now it's when I'm done doing what I'm doing now, it's going to be just sitting at home and doing whatever I want. I'll be retired. So I'm 65 now, so I'm not going to start any more careers. But that never really happened. The only time that I really thought about doing something different was when Cam Bonifay asked me to come and interview for the manager's job back in when we were still over at Three River Stadium. That was intriguing enough, obviously, to get me out of the booth. But other than that, I had found my second job was going to be an announcer, and that was it.
Well, you do a great job at it. Hey, Bob, thanks so much for visiting with us today. Appreciate it. Talk with you Monday.
All right, we'll have a couple games behind us we can talk about. That'll be good.
Yeah. You in the air today?
Yeah, I'm going to do TV today. We're obviously TV and radio. Cool. But I think John Wayner, I think, is going to do the radio today.
Cool. We'll talk with you Monday. Thanks.
All right. See you later.
There's Bob Walk with us from Bradenton, Florida this morning. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, 101.1 FM and AM 1160.